Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we're broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. Follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I am on Cash App and Venmo at the Joey Harris. If you would just like to send me a couple of bucks that way, I would really appreciate it. And folks, right here up at the top of the show, I would just like to send out a couple of things. We've been on a crazy schedule the last month. I want to send out my condolences for the loss of Heavy Metal Van Hammer. I have not recorded since he passed away, or recorded one of these shows since he's passed away. Just a huge part of WCW in the early 90s and then again in the late 90s, and just one of those performers, just part of my years of watching WCW as a wrestling fan, you know. So my condolences to his friends and fans and family, as well as just our best thoughts, wishes, and prayers to Rebel, who announced that she's dealing with ALS from something that they found out. So just our best wishes go out to her in this difficult time. Today we take a look at Backlash 2009 from the WWE. Backlash 2009 was shown on pay-per-view on April the 26th, 2009 from the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island. There were 8,357 in attendance, and the show did 182,000 buys. Jim Ross welcomes us to Backlash, where he will call the action with Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler. ECW Championship match, Jack Swagger versus Christian. Christian looks intense. Swagger with a front face lock. Christian comes back. He hits a back elbow to get a 1 count. Swagger with a shoulder block. He picks Christian up and throws him out of the ring. Christian gets back in, and Swagger keeps up the assault. He gets a 2 count on a waist lock. Christian tries to get out. Christian avoids a corner charge, but gets stomped down on the counter for a 2 count. Swagger with a bear hug. He gets another 2 count. Christian struggles to get out. He does, but Swagger hits a gut buster for a 2 count. Swagger goes back to the waist lock. Christian comes back. Swagger goes for a Swagger bomb, but Christian gets his knees up. Christian with a sunset flip for a 2 count. Both men are down. They battle in a corner. Christian hits a sloppy-looking twisting DDT for a 2 count. Swagger with a side slam. It goes outside. They battle on the apron. Swagger thrown in. Swagger backdrops Christian and hits a top rope Swagger bomb for a close 2 count. Christian with a backstabber for a close 2 count. They trade moves. Swagger with an Oklahoma Stampede. Christian takes a turnbuckle cover off while the referee was admonishing Swagger for doing the same thing. Christian moves on a Swagger corner charge, and Swagger hits the exposed buckle. Christian hits the kill switch to get the pin and become the new ECW champion. We get a great Stars of the 90s DVD set ad. Christian is congratulated in the back. He goes up to Edge. Edge tells Christian not to get used to it. He says John Cena has ruined his life. He says he will be fine when he is World Heavyweight Champion again and gets rid of John Cena. Chris Jericho versus Ricky Steamboat. Steamboat's first single pay-per-view match in 15 years. The bell rings, and Jericho avoids Steamboat. Steamboat with a takedown to Jericho. Jericho gets to the ropes. Steamboat with the early advantage. Hits Jericho with a suicide dive. Steamboat gets Jericho in and gets an arm drag into an armbar. Jericho comes back with a forearm. Steamboat with another arm drag back to an armbar. Jericho gets out. Steamboat chops Jericho. Steamboat skins the cat, but then gets clotheslined out by Jericho. Jericho with a springboard drop kick to Steamboat. Jericho with a belly-to-back suplex. Jericho with a snapmare. He follows it up with a chin lock. Steamboat out and hits another arm drag. Jericho comes back and gets a 2 count. Jericho goes back to the chin lock, into a side headlock. Steamboat tries to push off, but Jericho holds on. Steamboat gets to his feet. Steamboat with some forearms. He shoves Jericho into a turnbuckle. Steamboat beats Jericho on a turnbuckle. Steamboat with a belly-to-back superplex. He gets a 2 count. Steamboat with shots to Jericho. He gets another 2 count. He gets yet another 2 count on a scoop slam. Jericho comes back with a 2 count and then hits a bulldog. Jericho with a roll through into the walls of Jericho. Steamboat reverses into the figure 4. Jericho gets to the ropes. Steamboat with a backdrop. Steamboat moves on a corner charge and hits a crossbody for a 2 count. Steamboat jumps, but Jericho hits the code breaker. He gets a cover, but Steamboat gets his foot on the ropes. Steamboat gets a small package for a 2 count. Jericho gets the walls of Jericho on, and Steamboat taps. Steamboat gets a standing ovation from the crowd. Santino Marella gets confronted by Beth Phoenix about being Santina. Kane versus CM Punk. Both wrestlers look ready. Punk gets Kane in the corner. He tries to avoid Kane, but Kane gets Punk down. Punk with a cross-arm breaker through the ropes, but breaks on 4, back and forth on the outside. Punk with a running apron clothesline. He has a series of strikes to Kane. Kane slams Punk to the outside. He gets Punk in and gets a close 2 count. Kane with a body scissors to Punk. Punk fights to get out. He does and hits a back elbow. But Kane hits a big clothesline for a 2 count. Kane with a backbreaker. Kane keeps the punishment up. Punk counters a chokeslam attempt into an armbar takedown. Another 4-second hold through the ropes for Punk. Kane goes up top, but gets caught by an enziguri from Punk. Kane fights out of a GTS attempt. A running bulldog gets a 2 count for Kane. A big shot gets a 2 count for Kane. Punk goes back to an armbar. Kane with a side slam for a 2 count. Punk with another enziguri. He goes for another one, but gets caught with a 2-handed chokeslam for Kane to get the pin. Flashback to what led to the next match. I Quit match. Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy. Jeff out first to a massive ovation. Matt out looking determined and focused on Jeff. The bell rings and Jeff strikes early. He beats Matt down in the corner. He hits Matt with a barrage of offense. Matt rolls out and Jeff hits him with a plancha. He runs and jumps off the ring steps and runs Matt into a barricade. He continues the assault back in the ring. Jeff hits a series of leg drops to Matt. Matt will not give up. Jeff with a sleeper as JR quotes the great Gordon Soley. Matt gets Jeff off him and drops an elbow on Jeff. He pushes Jeff off the top rope to ringside. Matt posts Jeff. He runs the leg into the pose, and Jeff still will not quit. Matt clips Jeff's leg. He puts the figure 4 on, and Jeff will still not give up. He continues to target the left leg of Jeff. He kicks the leg every time Jeff tries to get up. He puts the figure 4 on again, but Jeff reverses the move. Jeff tries an enziguri, but Matt ducks and puts Jeff in a single crab. Jeff still will not give up. Matt drops a leg on Jeff. He puts Jeff on the top rope and then holds him in the tree of woe. Jeff still will not give up. Jeff comes back with a whisper in the wind, and both men are still down. Jeff gets a Texas cloverleaf on. Matt doesn't quit. Matt pushes off a twist of fate attempt. Jeff comes back with a leg drop and then hits the twist of fate. Jeff hits a swanton bomb. Matt still will not quit. Jeff hits another swanton. Jeff goes out and gets a table. He sets the table up in the ring, back and forth on the outside. Jeff hits another twist of fate. He brings Matt back in and puts him on the table. He duct tapes Matt's legs and hands together. He then ties Matt to the table. He then goes out and gets a ladder. He sets the ladder up and climbs. Matt says he's sorry and begs Jeff not to do it and that he loves Jeff. He then says, I quit. Jeff then jumps off and leg drops Matt through the table anyway. Todd Grisham talks to Randy Orton. He says he has nothing to say to Shane McMahon or Triple H, but he has something to say to Dave Batista. He says ever since their Evolution days, he has changed. He has legacy, and he is his own man. He says Batista is still doing Triple H's dirty work. The Great Khali and Rajan Singh come to the ring. Santina Marella comes out and says she's in love with another man and can't kiss Khali. She says it's JR. I roll from Joey time. Ranjan said Santina should kiss JR. Beth Phoenix comes out and challenges Santina for the Miss WrestleMania crown. She puts down Khali and Santina. Khali brain chops her and Santina pins Phoenix. Khali rips Santina's top off and Santina runs out. Flashback to everything that has happened between Randy Orton, Triple H, the McMahon family, as well as Batista returning. 6-man tag team match for the WWE Championship. Triple H, Shane McMahon, and Batista versus Legacy Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Ted DiBiase. If any member of Triple H's team gets pinned, submits, is disqualified, or counted out, he loses his championship. McMahon out first. Batista is next. He gets a huge ovation. Triple H then out to a huge ovation as well. He does his usual entrance. Orton leads Legacy out and they take their time getting to the ring. They start to fight as soon as Legacy gets to the ring. Triple H and Orton fight up the aisle. The rest of Legacy bails to the ring. Rhodes starts with Batista. Batista brutalizes Rhodes. McMahon tagged in and hit the demolition decapitation on Rhodes. Orton still has not come back to ringside. Triple H tagged in and keeps the assault up on Rhodes. He corner whips Rhodes and hits a big boot. McMahon tagged in. DiBiase tagged in. McMahon does the heart attack on DiBiase for a 2 count. Batista tagged in. Rhodes tagged in. Batista with the delayed vertical suplex to Rhodes. Rhodes rakes Batista's eyes, and DiBiase tagged in. Rhodes and DiBiase quick tagging and beating Batista down. He powers his way back. Legacy rolls out to regroup. Batista follows DiBiase out, and Orton comes from behind and runs Batista into a ring post. Orton then tags in. He stomps Batista down. He gets Batista down in the corner, and Rhodes tagged in. He continues to beat down and kicks Batista to the outside. Orton tagged in and hits a draping DDT to Batista for a 2 count. Batista fights back, but DiBiase tagged in and hit a drop toe hold on Batista. Batista comes back with a belly-to-back suplex. Orton tagged in and takes his time torturing Batista. Orton with a side headlock. Batista comes back with an elbow and hits a flying shoulder block. McMahon and Rhodes tagged in. McMahon unloads on Legacy and gets a 2 count on Rhodes. McMahon guillotines Rhodes and hits a flying elbow drop. He starts to pin Rhodes, but DiBiase pulls McMahon out and Orton runs McMahon into the ring steps. Orton in and suplexes McMahon in from the apron for a 2 count. DiBiase tagged in. McMahon kicked out of the ring and ran into the apron. He gets a 2 count. Rhodes tagged in. He gets McMahon in a full Nelson and Orton tagged in. He drop kicks McMahon for a 2 count. DiBiase tagged in and drops a series of elbows on McMahon. He gets a rear chin lock on McMahon. DiBiase gets McMahon down and Rhodes tagged in. He gets McMahon down in a front face lock. McMahon tries to power out, but Rhodes stops him from making the tag. McMahon backdrops Rhodes, but DiBiase enters and stops the tag from being made. McMahon with a DDT to counter a Dream Street attempt. Triple H and Orton tagged in. Triple H beats Orton down in the corner, clears the ring and hits a knee. Triple H with a spine buster, but DiBiase saves Orton. Rhodes with a DDT to Triple H as Triple H was going for a pedigree. McMahon takes Rhodes out. Rhodes hits McMahon with a chair. Batista hits Rhodes. Triple H and Orton up at 9. Triple H pushes off an RKO attempt and tries for a pedigree. Batista goes to hit Rhodes with the chair, and Triple H takes away, not wanting a DQ, only to be hit with an RKO by Orton. He gets a close 2 count. Orton hits a punt to get the pin and become the new WWE champion. He grabs the title, and Legacy quickly leaves ringside. They show highlights of what happened, and medics are out to check on Triple H. They put a neck brace on him. They replay the punt again. They put Triple H on a stretcher and carry him to a gurney. The announcers talk about what just happened. Flashback to what led to the next match. Last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship. John Cena versus Edge. Edge out first. He looks determined. Cena out to a massive ovation. The bell rings. They stare at each other. The crowd is vocal. They lock up and drive to a corner. Edge pushes off of a bulldog attempt. They circle each other again. Edge with a side headlock. He beats on Cena in the corner. Edge with an execution to Cena. He follows it up with a clothesline. He tackles Cena and beats on him. Cena up at 6. Edge with a spin wheel kick. Cena up at 6 again. Edge hits a flapjack and gets the sleeper on Cena. Cena fights it. Edge jumps on Cena's back and keeps the hold on. Cena falls back. Cena up at 7 and hits some shoulder blocks. Edge kicks Cena on You Can't See Me. Edge gets a sharpshooter on. Edge grabs the ropes for leverage. Cena gets up at 5 and Edge catapults him into the announce desk. Cena up at 8 and Edge comes out to beat on Cena. Edge hits the ring steps when Cena moves. Edge up at 6 and runs Cena into the ring steps. Cena up at 8 and runs Edge into the steps, and it's like deja vu all over again. Cena throws the ring steps in. Edge hits Cena with a running boot to the head. Edge runs the steps into Cena. He then drop kicks the steps into Cena in the corner. Cena up at 6 and backdrops Edge out of the ring. Edge up at 7 and Cena throws the ring steps on Edge. They exchange blows in the ring. Both men down. A double count is going. Both up with counters of moves until Edge hits a belly-to-back suplex. Edge mocks Cena, who counters with an STF. Edge taps, but it doesn't matter. Edge up at 7 and hits Cena with a spear. Another double count going. Edge up at 7 again. He goes up top, but gets caught and Cena hits the AA from the second rope. Cena up at 5 and Edge is up at 9. He falls again. Cena goes up, but gets caught by a spear in midair by Edge. Another double count going. Both up at 8, but Cena falls out of the ring. Edge takes the announce desk apart. He goes to slam Cena on it, but Cena counters and AA's Edge into the crowd. That was crazy. Edge up on the 9 count. Edge is running from Cena, who follows. They fight all over. Cena hits a running bulldog to Edge off some steps onto an equipment case. Edge up at 7. They fight back to the ramp. Edge DDTs Cena on the ramp. Another double count is going. Edge up at 8 and Cena up at 9. Edge hits Cena with a chair. He hits a concerto to Cena. Cena up at 9. He sets Edge up for an AA. And the Big Show comes from the back and chokeslams Cena into one of the giant spotlights. Cena gets counted down and Edge wins and becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion. Cena is still down. Referees, medics, and agents check on Cena as Edge gets the belt. Edge looks dazed. They replay what happened several times as Cena is being attended to. They then sign off from Providence. Final thoughts. A solid show. Is worth a watch. You can follow me on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. And don't forget to hit subscribe. And of course, patreon.com/babykangaroo media for bonus episodes of The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, The Joey Harris Super Show, The Green Room, The Book Club Baristas, and so much more. Just $5 a month for hours of extra content. Thank you for joining me. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.